we are looking at a recent hands-on tech review of Google and Xreal's highly anticipated Project Aura smart glasses. We're going to skip the consumer gimmicks entirely and translate this hands-on data into actionable strategic insights for your enterprise. Basically, we want to know, how is this hardware actually going to perform in a real workspace? And crucially, is this the right bet for your company's future tech investments? Let's get into it.
Okay, here's our roadmap for today. First, we'll look at a major spatial computing shift toward a new middle ground. Second, we'll break down the hardware strategy, specifically prioritizing wearability over total immersion. Third, we'll dive into the Android XR ecosystem. And lastly, we'll hit the big strategic market takeaways.
All right, let's start by establishing the paradigm shift this new hardware represents. Part 1, a spatial computing shift and the new middle ground.
To really frame this, Raymond Wong from Gizmodo did a hands-on review back at the May 2026 Google I/O, and he basically hit the nail on the head. He called Project Aura a halfway point. On one end of the spectrum, you've got those displayless smart glasses, like audio frames, that don't give you any sort of digital workspace. And way over on the other extreme, you have those massive, fully enclosed immersive headsets. Well, Project Aura is deliberately planting its flag right in the middle. And for an enterprise context, that halfway point is incredibly viable. It means you get spatial computing, but you aren't forcing your team to wear heavy, isolating scuba masks all day.
So what this really boils down to is that this flavor of spatial computing prioritizes real-world integration. You're giving employees a compact digital workspace, absolutely, but you're not enclosing their vision or cutting them off from their physical environment. And let's be real, if you're managing a team in a corporate office or a collaborative design lab, isolation is the enemy of productivity. With this approach, your employee can see their digital dashboards, their emails, their 3D data models floating right there in the air, but they can still look up and make eye contact with a colleague sitting across the desk. That lack of isolation, it's absolutely critical for getting widespread adoption in any workplace.
So how did they actually build this? Let's look at the hardware choices Google and Xreal made. Part 2, wearability over total immersion.
Okay, the most brilliant compromise here is what they call the compute puck. Typically, cramming processors and batteries into glasses frames makes them incredibly heavy, which leads to face fatigue, which, as you probably know, leads to a flood of complaints to your IT help desk. Instead, they completely offloaded it. You wear this compute puck around your neck on a lanyard, and it just connects with a single cable to the glasses. The glasses themselves, they just look like standard lightweight AR frames housing a few cameras for media and hand tracking. This is huge. It shifts all that heavy processing weight off the user's face. If you want your workforce wearing a device for hours on end, comfort is the ultimate bottleneck. This split design practically guarantees a higher rate of all-day adoption.
Now, 70 degrees. This number represents the field of view, or FOV, and it is a massive deal for productivity. A 70-degree field of view is pretty much the widest we've seen on smart glasses of this size. To put that into perspective for your employees, it's spacious enough to comfortably anchor 3 to 5 app windows right next to each other in their natural vision. Imagine one of your executives or data analysts having a real-time analytics dashboard, a live video call, and a reference document all floating side by side, perfectly sharp without needing a multi-monitor desk setup. But we do have to talk about the trade-offs, right? One major hardware limitation here is the lack of eye tracking. With ultra-premium headsets, you can literally just look at an icon to click it. With Project Aura, users have to physically turn their entire head and reach out to interact with their spatial view. From a business standpoint, this is an obvious cost-saving measure to keep the hardware affordable. But it's definitely something you need to factor in regarding user experience and long-term ergonomics. Your team is going to be turning their heads a lot more frequently.
Hardware is just one piece of the puzzle, though. Let's look at the platform play. Part 3, the Android XR ecosystem and AI integration.
The hands-on demo made it clear that Android XR is super practical right out of the gate. You can just pinch and drag to toss app windows around or resize them. It's very intuitive. But the absolute game changer for enterprise here is Gemini AI. During the demo, Gemini was instantly identifying physical objects in real time. Think about the applications. A warehouse worker gets instant inventory recognition, or a field tech sees repair manuals overlaid right onto complex machinery as they look at it. They also showed off some 3D tabletop gaming, which honestly just proved how fluid the gesture controls are. That bodes incredibly well for corporate training or complex 3D modeling down the line. Now, let's keep our feet on the ground here. A global launch is slated for this year, but this isn't a flawless, out-of-the-box miracle just yet. The reviewer was pretty quick to point out that complex productivity tasks still need some serious polish. For instance, trying to use the glasses to extend a laptop screen into a virtual monitor was described as Well, kind of janky and buggy. Users couldn't easily snap apps between the physical and virtual screens. And look, for enterprise deployment, stability is literally everything. Google and Xreal have got to iron out these software bugs before this is truly ready for heavy corporate use.
So, what does this mean for the big picture? Let's pull back and look at the market. Part 4. Strategic Market Takeaways.
We are watching the industry split down two totally different paths right now. On one side, you have the Apple Vision Pro strategy, pushing for enclosed immersion. It's a premium, high-fidelity experience, sure, but it's bulky, it's heavy, it's isolating, and it carries a $3,500 price tag that will make pretty much any CFO flinch. On the other side, you have Project Aura. It's an open spatial view, compact, lightweight because of that neck puck, way less isolating, and clearly designed for mass-market, everyday accessibility. The strategic bet Google and Xreal are making is actually really straightforward, but it's profound. They are betting that size, comfort, and price will ultimately beat maximum visual fidelity. They believe that for mainstream corporate success, users are going to happily accept a slightly lower resolution or the lack of fancy eye tracking, just as long as the device is actually comfortable to wear all day, doesn't cut them off from their coworkers, and, perhaps most importantly, doesn't completely blow up your IT budget. So, as you look at your organization's roadmap and try to figure out where spatial computing fits into your workflow, I want to leave you with this final thought, based on Project Aura's debut. Does spatial computing actually require isolating immersion to be useful for your workforce? Or will the practical, everyday realities of size, comfort, and price ultimately win the enterprise market? It's a huge question, and it's one every forward-thinking leader is going to need to answer very soon.